The Beginner's Guide to Friendship Bracelets is a collection of photo tutorials for beginners that will take you all the way from the basics to the more advanced stuff. It is now available for purchase worldwide anywhere you typically buy books, and there is also a direct link in the description. Hello, my name is Masha and today I want to teach you how to make this gorgeous friendship bracelet. I really like how this bracelet turned out, and it's such a cute color scheme as well. I really enjoy making bracelets with gradients and then those that have like some kind of pattern within them as well. It's kind of like a visual effect. This bracelet is really fun and it's not too difficult to make. There's only 4 repeating rows and 2 of those are candy stripes, or rather candy stripe rows, as you can see here. Going into this tutorial, I expect that you know how to make the basic knots. So we'll only be telling you which knots to make rather than explaining how to make them. I'll leave a basic knots tutorial linked in the description if you need more help with that. That being said, let's get into it. For this bracelet, you're going to need 7 colors, and these are the colors that I've picked out. If you're going to be doing a half triangle start like me, or any sort of start that doesn't involve a loop, you're going to cut 2 strings per color, and these strings are going to be roughly 1 meter in length. If you are going to be doing a loop, which I don't necessarily recommend because it'll be difficult to align the strings here, even though it's possible, I have a tutorial for how to do that. I'll leave that linked in the description. Then you're going to cut 1 string per color and make that string 2 meters in length since you're going to be folding it. So I've now cut my strings and I've made a half triangle start. I have a separate tutorial on triangle ends and I'll leave that linked in the card and in the description to save time. All you need to know is the string order. And the string order here is a little bit tricky because as you see, the sort of colors of the gradient are a little bit messed up here. So we sort of alternate. We've got the first color, then a different color, then the second color, then a different color, then the third color, then a different color, then the fourth color. The order in which these colors appear for the triangle end, but also if you're just doing any other start, you still need to arrange the strings in this order to follow this tutorial. It'll be the first color, then the 5th, then the 2nd, then the 6th, then the 3rd, then the 7th, then the 4th. So 1, 5, 2, 6, 3, 7, 4. In my case, that is the deep purple, orange, lighter orange, kind of yellow here, deep pink, light yellow, pink. And all of these strings are arranged in pairs. So for each color, you've got both of the strings at the same time. Don't forget to leave 10 to 15 centimeters of string to make ties out of later. Mine are just off screen behind the tape. Alright, so there are only 4 rows to this pattern, and they are in fact very similar to another pattern that I did recently. If by chance you watched the tutorial for this beautiful pattern, which I will leave linked in the card and in the description because this is also a really fun bracelet to do, you're gonna notice that the tutorial for this one is very similar. But I love both of these bracelets, so I had to share both of them with you. Let's start with the first 2 rows, and they are super simple. The first 2 rows are literally 2 candy stripe rows. So you take the outermost string on the left, the deep purple, and you do a row of forward knots on each of these strings individually in this order. That is the first row. It is fully a candy stripe row, bringing this string from the left all the way to the right. Once that is done, the next string, which will be the 2nd deep purple, also does a candy stripe row on each of these strings individually one by one, and then also on the deep purple string, which would be on the right by that point. So let's do 2 candy stripe rows with 2 deep purple strings and then catch up afterwards. Now that the 2 rows of candy stripe are done, we start by taking the 2 strings on the outermost edge on the left, and we do a knot between them. Since the 2 strings are the same color, this can be any knot. I'm going to be doing a forward knot. The 2 strings after that, in my case the 2 purple strings, are then going to do backward knots onto the orange string. Then for the 2 strings of the next color, in my case this yellow, we're going to make 2 forward knots with the orange string onto the yellow string. So every time we encounter a new color, we're switching what we're doing. We just did 2 forward knots with orange, which means that for the next color, these 2 strings are going to be doing backward knots onto the orange. Now that that's done, we switch again, and for the light yellow, we're doing 2 forward knots. For the next color, we switch again, and this color is going to be doing 2 backward knots onto the orange. And now that we've reached the last color, we don't switch. This last color also does 2 backward knots on the orange string. This next row is very similar. All of the colors that did backward knots onto the orange string last time will also do backward knots here. All of the colors that we did forward knots onto, we will also make forward knots on. And then once we reach the end, we're going to be knotting the two orange strings together. This means that with the first color, we're going to be doing 2 backward knots. We're going to make 2 forward knots onto the next color. We switch again, the color after that does 2 backward knots. Another switch, we do 2 forward knots. And finally we do 4 backward knots with the 2 colors afterwards. And now that we've reached the second orange string, we're going to do a knot between them. I'm going to do a backward knot. And that's it. That's the entirety of the repeating pattern. You can rewind this tutorial to the beginning. There are timestamps in the description for you to do that easily. And you can follow the 4 rows again and again. Continue making these 4 rows over and over until the bracelet reaches the length that you want. I'm going to go finish this bracelet off camera and I'll see you once I'm done. And this is what the bracelet ends up looking like. I absolutely love this bracelet. As I mentioned in the beginning, I really like bracelets that have some kind of a gradient and then it creates this kind of weird visual effect within the bracelet. I love it. There's so many different types of patterns like this and I really, really enjoy them. As you saw, I did half triangle ends on both ends here and then they align really well as well on the other side. I finished it off with twisted ties as well. I have separate tutorials for both the half triangle ends and for the twisted ties, which I will leave linked. If you make this bracelet following my tutorial, please tag me on Instagram. I would absolutely love to see your creations. It makes me so happy to see. And if you want to share your love for friendship bracelets with your friends, my book, The Beginner's Guide to Friendship Bracelets, makes for a great gift. It's available worldwide and you can purchase it anywhere you typically buy books, but there's also a direct link in the description. Before I go, I also want to give a special shout out to my patrons and especially my top supporters. It is with their support that I'm able to create the videos that I do on this channel, so thank you so much for your support. If you also want to become a patron, there is a link in the description for you to sign up. But in any case, thank you so much for watching today's video. I really hope you liked it, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!